So at around the start of last year, 2025, I went ahead and made the decision to try and catch up to a manga series by the end of the year. It was a series that I had been pretty hesitant to get myself into for a good few years at this point, mainly due to one thing being the length of the series. Though coming from someone who has watched a ton of long-running shonen, including One Piece, may sound kinda crazy to y'all. Anyways though, as you read by the title, the series that I am talking about is none other than the 2006 seinen manga, Kingdom. I'd go on and attempt to succeed in accomplishing this mission, and while I did end up failing in doing so, I did end up reading about halfway through the series, and currently I am getting closer and closer to a major arc within the story. And to make a long story short, this manga has been straight peak. Bro, I don't even know where to begin when talking about Kingdom. Tension, the action, the artwork, the protagonist, the antagonist, the side characters. Oh my god. I'll get to all that in a second. But first, some of you may be wondering just what is Kingdom about? What could it possibly be about to warrant over 860 chapters? Basically, in a nutshell, it's Chinese One Piece. Hey bro, that wasn't on the script. Oh, for real? Shoot, my fault. Taking place in ancient China during the Warring States period, Kingdom focuses on our main characters Shin and his friend Piao, who are two village servant boys who want to become war generals at some point. And it seems like that this story is going to follow both of their journeys, is what this manga wants you to think at first. Because one day, Piao gets taken away to be used as a body double for a boy named Sei, who was actually said to be the next king of China. Piao ends up dying in front of Shin. And eventually, Shin meets the actual Sei, the two get close, and Shin helps him get the throne back from his evil younger brother, which would go on to be a success, and at the end, both of the boys established their goals, with Shin wanting to become the greatest general, and Sei wanting to unify every kingdom in China. Looking back, this first arc was kinda crazy, but from this point on, the series would continue to just completely hook me in. Before reading, one thing I heard about Kingdom is that it gets progressively more and more addicting, and boy was this 100% the truth. Because you can go from, hey, this is pretty good, to holy shit, did I just binge through 100 chapters in less than 2 days? And right along with this growing addiction, the quality of the manga started to improve with it. The story starts to divert and give us two different perspectives, with one being Shin's perspective and the other being Sei's. With Shin's perspective focusing more on the battlefield and all of its raw and gritty badass moments being on full display, along with all the very impressive tactics and strategies that the generals and the other soldiers used to win. Then on the flip side with Sei, we get to see a lot more of the inner politics within the kingdom of Qin, with us meeting all the other people in power. These arcs typically have less action and are more focused on dialogue, though within these arcs we get a lot of build up and added context for the war arcs. I will say I do like these parts of the story that focus on Sei and the Qin government, but undoubtedly the parts of the story that have really pushed Kingdom into peak status so far for me have been the war arcs. When it comes to writing these, the author Yasuhiro Hara is an absolute beast. This man knows how to show the brutality that goes into war, as well as the tension and the high stakes, and also the level of intellect and strategy needed to use in different scenarios in order for the characters to win. You have side characters like General Osen, for example, who instead of rushing into battle, meticulously creates plans to fool his opponents and strike at the perfect time. Then also on the flip side, you have a character like General Kan Ki, who is another very smart character and a very strategic one, but instead uses these capabilities in a very different way. He's a lot more twisted and violent with his methods, often showing the more brutal side of what the Qin army is capable of. And I gotta say, both of these characters so far have been some of my favorites while reading through this manga. At some point whenever I catch up on Kingdom or get close enough to the latest chapters, I want to make a follow-up video where I go more in depth with this, because honestly I'm really just scratching the surface with this, and these guys along with some other characters have really great showcases of this in the series. Another thing I really do love about the war arcs is Shin's character progression throughout each of them. Shin starts off as just some meathead servant boy with an unrealistic goal of becoming the greatest general, but even as early on as the first arc, we see his potential. He's good on his feet and he has very good combat skill for his age. And though Kyokai, the main female lead, and Shin's right hand is the main strategist of his group and also debatably a more skilled fighter, when it really comes to it, Shin is still able to come up with some really good strategies on his own on the battlefield, and we see them get better with each passing arc. He gains a lot more maturity, and though he is still a meathead, his overall intelligence grows stronger. I honestly can't wait to continue and see where his character writing goes, and really this goes for the series as a whole, because what was showcased in the last major war arc that I read, the Coalition War, Kingdom went from being great to potentially top 10 anime manga for me personally. Anyways, with all that being said, I do want to get my next Kingdom video out within a year or so, hopefully. There's just so many series I still need to read, watch, and catch up on, so it won't be happening for a good while from now. Trust me though, it'll happen someday. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. If you haven't read Kingdom yet, I'd highly recommend it. I know the amount of chapters is intimidating, but trust me, it's worth it. Like the video and subscribe to the channel as well as my main channel, and yeah, I'm out of here.